I think this is really why when you think about the connection that we all have as an omnichannel retailer is I think our sweet spot as an omnichannel retailer is this combination of technology and the human connection. And that's a competitive advantage. You know, what technology makes possible and what a sales associate can make personal is a meaningful competitive advantage. And at our best, we do this well. And I think on the digital side, you know, with Terry's leadership a number of years ago, back when we had mail and telephone out of Sacramento and we saw this digital, you know, business, this was 15, 17 years ago, is we really looked at we were going to be a digital first play here. And so we started to build that. And we have maintained very good prowess on that. You know, we're ranked by L2 as the second best department store on this. About 2 years ago, we said that the juice, the lifeblood of the business is going to go through mobile, and we decided to really make a mobile-first initiative. And we put a lot of resources against this. And Ansible just ranked the Macy's app, the mobile app, as the best in the nation. So much of our business is now being transacted through that. So we've got a strong digital platform. We've got a strong mobile platform. We're really working on stores. We've got unbelievable flagships. We've got other stores that we're now investing in. That is the competitive advantage of technology and the human connection that an omnichannel retailer can play with. But it does speak to the critical role of stores. So I mentioned this earlier, but this is a major intersection for our customers. You know, we still have 80% of our consumers that prefer to try products on in stores. And we also have, and this is obviously the bane sometimes of our pure play competitors about what they do with returns. And 3 out of 4 returns, a customer prefers to return that into a store. So it's a huge opportunity for you to convert that return into something that she wants. It's a huge opportunity to take some piece of that digital demand and move it into the store through a buy online, pick up in store. And once they're in the store, they buy a lot of other things. So we're always looking for ways, basically, to enhance traffic in our stores. Right now, what Macy's is working on is what does our next generation of stores look like? And will they be smaller? Will they be more digitally enabled? What are those businesses where customers just want a speedy checkout and they don't want to interface with a customer? How do you enable that with your mobile app? What are those businesses that through your mobile app as your guide, you can learn everything you want to about that product that you need. You can learn everything you need to about customer reviews. And what are those businesses where you really need that human touch, where you need that advisor, where you need to work on that engagement ring together as you're customizing, you know, your stone with your setting? You know, what are those businesses where you need that human touch, and what are those businesses where, frankly, technology needs to serve you? That's what we're getting at, too, with our next generation of stores. So expect us. We're launching one right now, getting some good results. We have concept boards on others, but we want to walk out of this year with a much better idea about what it's going to take for us to be much more competitive in getting our store business at a healthier pace. To that is really something that I'm proud of, that I think this is something we do well, which is testing, iterating, and scaling. In our company, we don't do much without making sure it's in front of the customer first, and that we're making the adjustments, we're reiterating from that, we roll out the next generation, we iterate again, and I want to give you a couple examples of where we've done that. So that image on the left is to represent our fine jewelry business. And fine jewelry was a business that, when you looked at the jewelry business at Macy's, we had about a 5% market share nationwide, and it was different depending on each of the pieces. And so you have millennials that we had made a big push for over the years. And when you looked at our bridal registry, about 50% of the new brides that were registering had never been in a Macy's before. They'd never experienced Macy's in the past, 50%. So then we looked at where that journey starts from the bridal registry, and it really started with the ring. And that's the first major decision. After the color of the wedding, and they do all the tear sheets and the Pinterest, but they do start with the ring. Did Macy's have a viable engagement ring business? And while we had a 5% share in overall jewelry, we only had a 1% share, actually a little less than that, in engagement rings. So we had to, what were all the impediments of us being, we had some formidable specialty store competitors, but how could we get serious about that business? So we just took that business apart, and we basically treated it like we do our lease businesses. We basically put firewalls around that entire business and said, what would it take? And the first thing that we did is we weren't competitive in assortment. So we said, we don't have enough loose stones. We don't have enough of an assortment. We need to get more brands. So we completely, basically transferred all of the goods back to a vendor community, rebought higher priced goods that had more value in them, gave us larger assortments. That's how we played with the assortment side and played with our AUR, our average unit retail, by taking that up by about 25 points. Then we looked at what we did in our environment. And did we have the right case lines and the right propping and the right lighting and enough case lines to be able to showcase what was right in this business? Then we looked at our sales associates. Did we have enough? In some cases, we doubled the amount of sales associates indoors. Did we have the right commission structures? Did we have the right compensation that would attract big guns from some of the competitors? We put that in place. We then dedicated store management. Then we dedicated training management to be able to put around this business. And then we looked at trunk shows to be able to add pageantry and special events and new content into these buildings. And lastly, we played with marketing. And when we did that, we started in actually the Southwest region here. We played with 40 doors. And it worked. You know, we put all these assets against it. It worked. It needed to have a high ROI to justify all those investments, and it worked. We made some tweaks. We then rolled it out to an entire region. Then we made more tweaks. And right now, I'm proud to say that by the August of this year, every single store in the company is going to have what I've just described as part of our fine jewelry business. And I'm also happy to say that we're now taking market share again from that formidable competitive, cycle of the specialty stores. So we know that when you've got this business where that human touch is really important, and there are some, it's not all, that we can take this approach and do it well. So if you look at the right side, I'm biased on this because I'm a department store person, but I still think that department stores is the best place for women to buy shoes. And when you look at the assortment, I think that there's nothing that can beat a department store. So when you look back in 2015, Macy's was not winning in this business. We were losing market share. So we had in flight what we were doing in fine jewelry. We then said, what could we do in women's shoes? We went back, this time we took 50 stores. We went back to the Southwest, and we started playing with it. And we said, first off, let's be in size and color. Let's have table stakes. So we really edited the assortment. Let's think about this not from a brand architecture, but from a classification architecture. How many black pumps do you need? And so we started to play with that. We said, these are the brands that are going to stand the test of time. Let's keep them separate. But everything else, let's classify it. Let's play, because of DSW, let's play with open sell. Let's play with an amazing back of house. Let's have dedicated sales associates that are on commission at rates that they weren't before. Gave us the opportunity to recruit people. We played with enhanced management, training, same thing. And this one was even better than that one. And we're now rolling that out to the entire country after going from just that Southwest test. So that'll be in all stores by September. So two important business for us. But the most important comment I'm making is just this idea about testing, iterating, and then scaling. And making sure that everybody in the company is galvanized in their role in doing that when we do it. So I want to tell you next about one that is a work in progress that you've heard about Macy's getting into, which is really the whole realm of off-price. So here you have how we look at off-price. So there's two comments. Backstage is off-price, last act is clearance. And I want to talk about backstage. So backstage for us, first time, again, it started with the consumer. So if you looked at that best customer that we saw, 2/3 of that best customer is shopping at off-price virtually every month. 2/3. So and the same reason we made a decision about really building a very powerful digital website was we could have lost a market share to a competitor or we could lose it to ourselves. That's always kind of the argument. So we look at why lose that customer to an off-price competitor who are formidable, we all know who they are, if we could potentially retain them for our own brand. And how might we do that? We started with Backstage as a freestanding concept. And that quickly morphed into how we take Backstage and put it into our underproductive buildings, our buildings that have space, and have customers that are telling us that they would love those opportunities. And the first thing we looked at was whatever we put in that building that's in Backstage, we really want to minimize the amount of cannibalization for the products that are in the balance of the store. So we spent a lot of time on this, and we really looked at discrete categories that were new to the building. We looked at value bands and lanes that we wanted to traffic in. So we're now in about 15 doors. It's going well. We're lifting the entire building by the rate that we expected. We're now adding another 30. We're playing with different scenarios with this on the last act side in combinations. But at the end of the day, we want to walk out of 2017 with a scalable model for future years that can express what our customers want, which is off-price, with the advantage of it being on mall now. So there's obviously, when you think about our competitors in off-price, they're in strip malls, they're off-mall. Can there be an off-price option all-mall that is within a Macy's store? We're going to find out. We're going to test. We're going to iterate. We're going to scale if it works. So we're not declaring victory on this, but wanted you to know that we're going to take the same disciplines that we did with fine jewelry and shoes with respect to this business. So those things I've just talked about in the past may have been enough to basically hit what we expect to hit. I don't think in these secular changes that we have in our industry that it would be enough. And so we're putting a real premium on what's new and what's next. So when you look at all the retail upheaval, we really had to look outward and to see where that growth would be. And so what I would say is that I'll go back on this. The luck for us is that our brand has the flexibility to do this. When I was starting in this business, I was an electronics buyer, and Macy's was the #1 electronics purveyor in the country. And that was before a lot of the big boxes came in. So before Best Buy, and at that point, Circuit City and the Good Guys and the regional players. But when you think about the amount of categories that used to be, and you think about a department store really being a mini mall, the opportunity is, and our customer gives us permission to be, in a lot of businesses that we're not currently. And we now have a lease model that gives us another hybrid economic model to be able to do that. So when you think about our success with Lens Crafters, which is a service business, 2 to 3 visits to complete your transaction, lots of other opportunities for that customer to shop your doors, we're looking at that. I think the bottom line on this one is we're looking for new avenues where Macy's can transact beyond our digital boundaries and beyond our store boundaries. So we're looking for new businesses, new models, new partnerships. We now have a dedicated team that is focused on this because we believe we're going to need that. And so we're right now incubating all that. We're prioritizing that. We're looking for some quick wins. We're looking for some long-term plays. Not ready to announce what any of that is right now, but know that we're hard at work at this. What's new? What's next? So that's how we're reimagining Macy's. I would say overall, our head is not in the sand. We're looking outward. We're looking for solutions there. We've got a team that we've got a brand that is amazing. We've got a strategy that we are working through. We've got a team that is used to winning and ready to win again, but is humble and looking outward as much as we all are. So that's what we're here to do. That's how we're going to lead this. And with that, I'll open it up for questions. Anybody has questions? We have the lights on. Tell us who you are and what you do.
Is it on? Oh, it's on.
It's on.
Okay. Okay, so I am a student here in the U of A retailing program, and I can probably speak on behalf of every student here that we're very honored to be here, and Terry is the sole reason that we get to do so. So my question is for you, what do you plan on doing, not for just us as students in the U of A retailing program, but for every student who is aspiring to enter this industry at this time?
Yeah, it's a great question. I had a good conversation with Marissa and Scott yesterday about, what I see is how do we continue Terry's legacy? Are there other spots where we would do that? Are there other states we may do that? That's under discussion. But what I would say is that there is a huge premium that continuing education doesn't just stop when you're ready to go to, your first job, but it's within new companies. And I'm looking right now, and I'm looking at New York City, and I'm seeing assistant buyers and associate buyers, and they may be of different talents and just fundamentals about what they need to learn about consumer insights and analytics and how they plan assortments and how they negotiate, tough deals and how they're always going to be responsive to a customer is going to involve a level of education that is, we do some of it well, some of it is a gap. And so I believe we have a huge opportunity with continuing education with our teams. And then obviously when you look at the font of candidates that come through retailers like Macy's, we have to make sure that's seated. We have to support programs like the Terry Lundgren School for Retailing because you're our future. And when I look at the caliber of candidates that I'm hearing about or seeing, that gives you a lot of optimism about the future of our business.